Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Welcome back to Corba Crew, and this is Genius But Slow, the podcast, I guess. I keep wondering if I should call it a podcast or not, because is it really a podcast if it's just my sort of slowly sipping away into insanity kind of ramblings? I don't know. Let me know what you think. But anyway, there's a lot to talk about because I skipped a couple of weeks because a lot happened, and today is a monumental day as well. And none of these subjects are actually what I wanted to make the podcast about today. And there I go again, calling it a podcast. But we're rolling with it. Now, should I update you about my life, or should I tell you a story about my past, why I am the way I am today? Because there is. I teased a little bit last time about a story that I've been wanting to tell. The Starfish story is what it's called. But I don't know if I should tell you yet. Well, I teased it already. Let's just go through that story, and we'll talk about my life and the monumental day that it is later on. And monumental day, that's I can already tell you what that means. I'm actually on my way home right now to do the cooking stream. And if you haven't watched the cooking stream, then, well, you missed an amazing stream on my Twitch. So go over to twitch.tv/CorbaCrew and follow that so you don't miss that kind of streams anymore, because it's shameful. Shame on you. Also make sure to join Discord, because that is largely where the communications happen. Anyway, the Starfish story, right? So, it's a large part of who I am today, and I'll tell you about it later why that is. But as a young kid, me and my parents, we would walk around Antwerp, and I would always see these beggars or people that were playing music for money, all that sort of stuff. And I always wanted to give them a little coin, right? And sometimes my parents would give me a coin, and I was allowed to go give them that coin. But I always thought, like, I'm putting this burden on my parents. If my parents want to give money, they can do that. But I am asking them to give me money to. So I felt like I was being a burden on my parents, forcing them, kind of like manipulating them by being a small child that I am, to give these people money because I wanted to, not because they wanted to. So I always felt like, you know what, someday I'll be a grown-up and I'll be able to change the world on my own. I'll be able to do things without feeling like I'm a burden, without I don't know, like drawing attention to myself, really, because I didn't want attention for it. I wanted to make their day happy. I wanted to help them. Like, oh, you are what makes a city, like, for example, Antwerp, right? The atmosphere that's there is only there because there are people in the streets playing music. I find that so amazing. Those are the kinds of people that I want to give some money to, because they're making it fun to walk through Antwerp, to go shopping, because, well, I don't like shopping, but I do like the music in the streets. It's fun. It's a nice atmosphere, right? So that is, I really wanted to do something for them, but because I was a child, I didn't feel like I had the authority to. I didn't feel like I could without drawing attention to myself. Like, I didn't want people to feel like, oh, look at him, he's trying to be a nice guy, just so people think that, you know, just, I don't know, I was too concerned with what other people thought about it. Because I didn't want them to think anything. I just wanted to do something and just no one mention it ever. Anyway, so that is a bit how I felt back in the day. And at some point, I was getting to 18, and I was starting to realize, like, hey, I kind of want to, you know, I'm almost an adult now. I can keep telling myself, like, oh, once I live by myself, once I earn my own money, once I this, once I that, then I'll start doing something good. And I'm like, why am I waiting? Why am I putting this off? These are all excuses to not do something good right now. Yeah, it's all just excuses in the end. And there was this big example for me around that time when I was 17. Markiplier on YouTube, you might have heard of him. He's the red-haired guy from the PewDiePie crew from back in the days, if you remember that. Markiplier, he's been a standalone YouTuber for a long time now. He's a really great guy in my opinion, and at some point he was doing these monthly streams for charity. And well, he's American, so I could not always make it. It was at kind of awkward times for me, so I didn't always make it. But sometimes I did, and sometimes I would be watching him and I would be thinking again, like, I wish I could donate to this charity stream. He's trying to make money for people that really need it. I want to donate something, but I don't really I couldn't do that one with my card, my banking card. It doesn't work to do these online payments. We disabled that, or my parents did at least. As long as they controlled my bank accounts, they disabled it for me to use it online. Plus, because it's a Belgian card, it's kind of weird how it works, and you can't really use it on all kinds of websites. So I would need a PayPal. But even with PayPal, you would need to give them all sorts of info, and on most websites you would again need a credit card. So it was all weird, and because my dad has such strong opinions about the online world, I did not want to risk anything money related online, because if I were to open my own PayPal, me not knowing anything about it, my dad being against it, I was like, well, he knows something about it and he's against it. I don't know anything about it, so I don't have a reason to be for it or against it, so I better believe him, right? Anyway, that was a bit of that. So I would just watch Markiplier streams, and I sometimes would tweet about them or would tell the Play.Corba.world about it, all that sort of stuff. I would try to get attention to it, right? In a small way to at least do something. But I've always really wanted to donate to him, but I couldn't. And then at some point, I was watching his stream again. And he was doing, I think it was a stream for disabled gamers. So with certain disabilities, they can't really hold the controller well, and they were trying, this company would make custom controllers for people with a disability, so they could play just as anyone else of their youth, so they wouldn't be pushed aside by their peers in school. And he was on the phone with this one guy, and I think he was an ambassador for that brand. And this one guy was talking about the disease they were trying to get money for. And so he was just talking. Oh yeah, of course, that's where the story was going. I'm sorry. This is a scatterbrain sort of recording. Anyway, this guy, this ambassador for the brand, he was telling this beautiful story, and I thought, you know what, I've heard this story before. It's always been sort of a story that I think, yeah, it's meant to be motivational. It's a story that teachers tell as if they came up with it, and then they try to encourage people to do good. And I'm like, I don't need a dumb story to feel good about myself or to do something good. It's just a dumb made up story. But anyway, he was telling this story, and you know what? I'm gonna let you listen to the story first, because that is sort of where the story, where my Starfish story is going. So I'm gonna tell you the story first. It will be recorded at my desk, so it will be a little bit better quality. Anyway, this is the Starfish story.
Once upon a time, there was an old man who used to go to the ocean to do his writing. He had the habit of walking on the beach before he began his work. One day, when he was walking along the shore, he looked down and saw a human figure moving like a dancer. He smiled to himself at the thought of someone dancing through the day, and so the man started walking faster to catch up. As he got closer, he noticed that the figure was a young man. And the figure wasn't dancing at all. He was reaching down to the sand, picking up small objects and throwing them back into the ocean. As the old man came closer, he yelled out, "Good morning! May I ask you what you're doing?" And the young man paused and looked up. "I'm throwing starfish into the ocean." "I must ask then, why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" asked the somewhat startled man. To this, the young man replied, "The sun is up and the tide is going out. If I don't throw them in, they will die." Upon hearing this, the old man commented, "But, young man, do you not realize that there are miles and miles of beach and there are starfish all along the shore? You can't possibly make a difference." At this, the young man bent down, picked up yet another starfish, and threw it into the ocean. As it met the water, he said, "It made a difference to that one."
So this man, this ambassador for that disabled gamer controller brand, this man was telling this story, and he said how much it meant to him. It just means that a little, like a small thing, could also already mean so much to so many people. So he was saying, like, hey, you guys, like, even if you donate a little bit, it already helps out massively for the cause. It's so amazing that people want to donate even $1, even $5. It's already so great that people believe in this cause and would want to spend their money on it. That is amazing. That is all that he was saying, really. And suddenly, while he was on the phone, in the middle of his sentence, he gave out this deathly scream, really. It felt like he was being murdered. He was being stabbed in the chest for some reason. And he gave this scream, this screech. And everyone on the stream, and me as well, everyone, I think, just had to look at their screens and be like, what's happening? I'm not even gonna pretend to do the scream now, or like to give you an idea of what it was like, because it was that icky. Just, you heard the scream and you were immediately concerned because it was so deadly. The scream wasn't deadly, but it sounded horrifying. That's all I can describe it as. There was a horrifying scream on the other line of the phone while Markiplier was talking to this guy. And Markiplier, sort of not knowing how to handle it, sort of laughed awkwardly, like, "Hey, dude, are you okay? What was that? What just happened? What happened?" And you heard this guy just huffing and puffing on the other line, on the other side of the phone. And he just said, like, "Hey, my pacemaker just went off. I have to go and call the hospital. I'm so sorry, I can't stay. I need to go to the hospital." And Markiplier was immediately concerned for him, like, "Hey, is there anything that we can do for you? Please don't feel sorry. Hang up, take care of yourself, and just let me know how it goes, because we're really concerned about you." So the guy said, "Yeah, it's fine. I'm so sorry." Again, he was really sorry to be leaving, but his pacemaker went off. For those that don't know what a pacemaker is, it's basically it reanimates your heart. It gives a shock to your heart. If you were to have a heart attack and your heart would stand still, basically, it would give a shock, an electric shock to your heart to restart it, basically. I mean, I'm not a medical man, but that's sort of what it does. And apparently for him, it malfunctioned, and he got that shock while his heart was just working normally. Anyway, he went to the hospital, he was fine, but something magical happened, and I don't say that lightly, by the way. It was, to me, it felt like a miracle. It was magical. I'm so happy that I was a part of, that I was able to watch it live. I wish I was a part of it, but I was so happy that I was be able to watch it live. So he told the starfish story about throwing that starfish back into the sea. And after he went, he hung up the phone. And people started donating $1. They said, "Here's $1. This is my starfish. This is my starfish. This is my starfish." thousands of donations came in with $1 saying, here's my starfish. And some people donating $50 for everyone that couldn't throw back a starfish. Even now, even telling you the story now, I'm getting chills down my spine, because that is how insane this moment was. This moment of just all these humans watching the stream coming together and just be like, you know what? That story affected me, and I'm gonna throw a starfish back as well, because it matters to that one. It matters to that person. I think that stream, it gathered millions. I don't want to say the wrong thing now, but I believe, if I remember correctly, it gathered about $3 million. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. Look it up. But it was insane. It just all of a sudden they broke all of the milestones that Markiplier had set. It was just everyone was just watching in awe because of this magical thing that was happening. People were just donating $1, but $1 didn't affect anyone. Anyone could miss that dollar. No one cared about that one single dollar. But all these dollars together, it was thousands of people. So that mattered. That little bit just became so much. And that story was just, it really hit me, right? It really affected me, because it was a story that I heard 1,000 times before, and I read it in a book first, and I was like, oh, cool story. And then teachers started reading it to me as if I needed to learn something about it and needed to learn to be a good person. And I was just like, yeah, well, I know the story already. You're not telling me anything new. Because I think the first teacher that tried to tell me the story said it as if it was their story, as if it really was like, oh, I was at a beach, you liar. So I think that was my ick with the story, that a teacher was trying to sell it as theirs while I already knew the story. Anyway, that moment happened, and of course you heard a deathly scream, so that was already quite a shock, and the whole emotional roller coaster of hearing someone have a heart attack, basically, that is what you heard. Hearing someone have a heart attack. And then right after that, have this incredible boost in the faith in humanity was just an emotional roller coaster. That's all I can say, really. And I learned from that, obviously. And I thought, you know what, enough delay, enough procrastinating. I can already do good myself right now. I don't need to wait. And then I remembered I was working for Ergo in Corba.world at the time. It was 2017, I believe. And I remember that Ergo once said that his aunt, in voice chat, he said his aunt had started this sort of charity once, and it was called Because of Cody. So I said, you know what, that is something that I want to do. So I messaged Chris, the Chris that you guys know right now, the person I'm talking, okay, I'm working for right now, instead of Urko. I spoke to him and I was like, hey, dude, I want to do a charity stream, right? Just like Markiplier does it. Markiplier gets millions. I'm not going to get millions, but if I get, and I said this, if I get a $30 already, that will be my starfish. If I were to be able to gather $30, then I would have succeeded. I would have done the thing that I wanted. I threw my starfish back. That will be the first step into actually doing something and actually making a difference, right? Funny thing about that is my best friend at the time, I told her like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do a charity stream, and she didn't really understand that I could gather money online. She didn't really understand the concept, and I told her like, hey, yeah, because this really is my dream. I want to make a difference. I want to have done something. If I were to die tomorrow, I want the world to have somehow, maybe just the people around me, to have somehow been influenced in a positive way by my presence, right? And at that time, she actually told me, well, if that is your dream, then you might as well give up now, because that is not going to happen. So yeah, we didn't really lost as friends. That was, honestly, I'm a very loyal person, or at least I think I am. She could have said anything to me ever. I would have always forgiven her, because I promised her that I would always be there for her, and that promise is sacred to me. So even now, even since we're not really friends anymore, if she were to come to me like, hey, I need you because of this, I'd still be there for her, because I made that promise. I shouldn't have been that stupid to make that promise if I didn't, if I wasn't planning on seeing it through. Anyway, that's a sidestep. So I did the charity stream. I went to Chris's house. We set up the internet, all of the computers and stuff. I still have a picture of that, actually. And we managed to gather $32, I believe, which is $2 above what I wanted, above what my goal was. It was a successful stream. I always said it's not really about the money. It's more about the fact that even as someone that, what did I have at the time on my Twitch? Twitch, was it Twitch or YouTube? I don't even know. I think I was streaming on YouTube back then, on like my own personal channel at the time. I don't even remember really. But yeah, so I didn't have any followers, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do a charity stream. I'm gonna get the money that I can get. It doesn't matter how much, but I'm gonna prove that even as small as I am, I can do something and I can make a difference. $32, that was the difference I made in my first charity stream, and I was insanely proud of that. I was really, really happy with that. I don't remember if I even, yeah, I did tell my best friend, because we hadn't like broken up as friends, let's say, yet at the time. I told her about it, but she wasn't really impressed, to say the least. But yeah, anyway. So that was the first thing I did, and I was happy with that, man. That was all to Markiplier. I even tried to make, I made a whole marketing thing. I post on Markipliers Reddit. I tweeted him. I hired some. Well, hired. I didn't pay them, but I convinced some people to help me out. Had a whole section about fan art that people could send art in, and I would just look at it on stream. All that sort of stuff was there, and yeah, it was just a whole night that me and Chris were gonna stream. I think, if I remember correctly, the stream did break at some point. We did it at Chris's house, because he had a way better computer than I did, and a way better camera, way better internet. All of it was at his house. So I had to move, even though it was my stream, I had to move to his house. He was the main camera, he was the main screen. But it was insane, it was great. Yeah, it was, I think we ended up streaming in 6 hours, with a small break in between, because the stream broke. But yeah, something like that. That is what we did, and that was the first charity stream that we did. After that, I went on to do, I think the next, and that was because of because of Cody, which was Ergo's aunt's thing. I don't know if she ever if she ever knew about it. We tried to get in contact with them, but as you know, Ergo doesn't really respond well to people. So I don't know, through Ergo's aunt, or through Ergo, or through email, if she ever personally knew that we did that. But it didn't matter. We made a difference, and I was happy about it. So afterwards, the next charity stream that we did, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna get some petrol first, and then I'll speak to you in a bit. Oh shoot. Alright, so I was talking about, I just got some petrol. Anyway, I was talking about the charity streams that I've done so far. The first one was, of course, for Because of Cody. due to Ergo, also kind of because my time on corporate craft taught me a lot. So I kind of wanted to do something for Ergo. It was for his family, but I hope he appreciated it. I never really knew, but yeah, so that was for him. And then the second one that I wanted to do, I don't remember if that was the second one or the third, but I believe it was the second one. That we had a member on the staff team, Stacy. What was her full name? Stacy Alexandra, I think it was. And she had been battling with cancer for a long, long time. As long as I knew her, she's been battling cancer. And she was Canadian. So I thought, you know what? Cancer is this ugly disease that pretty much everyone I know has been affected by in one way or another. Either themselves, a close family member, a friend's family member. You don't have to go looking that far to know or to find someone that has or has been affected by cancer. It's a lot of people. Not based on scientific data, because I'm not that smart. But I thought, you know what, I want to do something for that, because my grandfather also died of cancer. So, it's something that everyone has been affected by. So I wanted to do something about it. And this person that I knew, Stacy, she had cancer at the time, I think, or has had it. I'm not entirely sure, but I wanted to do it for her as well. So we decided to support the Canadian Cancer Society. The Canadian Cancer Society, of course, I don't really have any bonds with that. Plus, it's a pretty big charity. So I knew I wasn't going to make that much of a difference. But I wanted to do something around it. Because it's just a disease that deserves that kind of attention. So that is what I was going to do. I even got a friend of mine involved. It was probably one of the most prepared charity streams that I've ever had. The friend of mine that I was talking about, she was really good at writing music. She loved writing music. She loved playing music, and she actually wrote a song for me. What was it called? She actually wrote a song for me. Goodness me. I hope I got this out. She actually wrote a song for me, and it was amazing. The song, it sent chills down my spine. I couldn't. Wow, that song really touched me. And I even let Stacy listen to it, and Stacy just messaged me back like, I'm in tears. I don't know what to say. She was crying. She was, it was such a really touching song. So that charity stream, it had a song, it had advertisement, it had its own banner, all the graphics, everything I needed basically. So I messaged Chris again, like, hey, we're gonna do this, and he's immediately on board. We're gonna set up his place entirely again for an entire charity stream. We've done it in the past, so we know how to do it now. It's gonna be bigger, it's gonna be better. We're gonna get snacks, because in the first charity stream we were quite hungry, but we had snacks. We were gonna go all night long. It was gonna be an insane charity stream. We were planning on all of this stuff. It was gonna be so much fun. But I think it was a day before the charity stream was supposed to happen. And again, we were going to do it at Chris's house because he had better internet, better computer, better everything, right? So we were going to do that. And because those were the days of Skype, by the way. We weren't on Discord. So if we were to do it online, then we would have to Skype with each other. It was a whole mess that we were not prepared for. So at his house, it would just be easier. We only need to set up one camera, which was his, and that I would be in the background. You would see everything. But a day before, Chris funnily mentioned to me, like, my mum is, has said that we're going out to dinner, or they had a party or whatever it was. It's like 6 years ago at this point. So they had a thing with friends of the family, and Chris had to go. His mom was mad or something. he did something wrong. I don't know what happened, but he had to go there, so he couldn't make it for the charity stream. So I suddenly went from doing it together to doing a charity stream by myself, not having the tools for it, right? And I panicked. Oh, days did I panic. Because at that point, I don't think I've ever had streamed by myself. Plus, I know, like, even now, my streams, I sometimes feel like, am I not being too boring? But you guys seem to enjoy them. But I know that if Chris is there, or if there is a co-host like Sinatra or Chris, then it's just so much better, because there's banter, there's some teasing, there's some poking around, and that is fun, that is entertaining. So even now with Chris, it's always better. So I had to do this charity stream alone, and all of a sudden, all of the preparations just fell apart. I didn't know what to do. I was a bit mad as well. So we did the charity stream. Not a lot of people watched. I believe we had like 3 people at some point. Which, I mean, back in the day, right? Like, the channel has been growing. Right now we get, on a normal stream, like 11 average viewers, while on a special stream with Chris we would get everything between 17 to 26. I believe 26 was 26 was the previous average, by the way. Like, those are averages, so the max count was above it, obviously. Yeah, so that is sort of the numbers we do now. But back then, 3 viewers was already something, but it wasn't a lot. And the charity stream was meant to be big, it was planned, so it needed to get more than that. Plus, I didn't really get anyone to watch that kind of had the opportunity to donate, possibly. So in the end, I don't think we made... Well, I donated $20, I believe, 20 euros. But in the end, I don't think we really made any money other than that at all. But as I always said, like, even after the stream, I just repeated it to myself, like, hey, this is about influence. This is about showing people that you can make a difference, to tell people that you can make a difference. So it's really important to show that I'm doing this. I don't need to make any money, because I'm trying to motivate people to do stuff like this, because every single thing helps. The whole Starfish story, I will tell it during every charity stream, because that is what convinced me to start doing something. So I just hope that it could possibly help someone else. I always said, if I could improve someone's life just a teeny tiny bit, then it's already a successful day. Because that's the goal of your day, isn't it? My day, at least. So yeah, that was the second charity stream, and then the third charity stream, I believe it was, that was by myself. I was a bit more comfortable streaming by myself at that point, and I had all these events set up. It was more the sort of stream that you would see now on Twitch as well. And that one actually did really well, because we were lucky with some people. And I even made the promise that I would, up to $50, I would match every... Did I say that? I'm not entirely sure how it happened. No, don't quote me on that, because I actually don't remember the details. I don't remember a lot of my own life. Damn, that's not good. Anyway, but in the end, we did make $160, I believe. $160 in one stream for a charity. I think that was pretty great. I was really, really happy with that one. It was, most of the money came from one person. I'll keep them anonymous for now. I'm not sure They never asked me not to say their name, but I don't really want to like expose them like that. Anyway, the one person was really generous during that stream. Absolutely lovely. They really made my day because they saved that charity stream. I was so nervous to ever do a charity stream again because of that really bad experience I had. Like, I tried to spin it to a positive, like, hey, I'm doing this to show that even a tiny bit can already make a difference. But streaming for so long, for 3 viewers, not gaining any money for the charity that you set out to make money for, it was painful, it was hard work, and yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience. So I really didn't want to do it again for a long time. And then eventually I did it, and that stream got $160 or whatever it was. It was somewhere ballpark over there. So that was an insane stream. I loved it entirely, and I fell back in love with streaming, with doing some stuff for charity. There will always be a charity link in my description on Twitch, because I just think it's important. I try to keep that charity link active in my streams as well, that if someone were to donate over there, that it would appear on the screen. I could thank them, even if it was anonymous. But yeah, so that is a bit how the streams progressed, and it all came from that one silly Markiplier stream that turned out horrifying at first, and then it just restored all faith in humanity by the starfish that were donated. I can't lie to you guys, that was such a mad experience. I never thought anything like that would ever happen. Like, while I was watching it, it was, you know, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Anyway, I'm not going to keep ranting on and on and on about the starfish story, but it's beautiful. Anyways, guys, that is a bit how streaming entirely got started for me. The only reason that I started streaming in the first place was so I could gather a following, and I could do more charity streams in the future where more people would show up, right? That has been the entire goal of streaming in the first place. That is why I started. That is why I'm still doing it. Gather people to do charities and to make a difference. And making a difference doesn't even need to be for charities per se. Making a difference could be in anyone's life. Anyone that's watching. I'm just trying to help you forget about the worries of the day and kind of help you have a pleasant experience for a night, to just not worry for a night, you know? Just come along, have some fun. We're gonna play some silly games, and maybe perhaps you'll win an event, but that's not what it's about. It's just about putting a smile on someone's face. Anyways, guys, I hope that this podcast, I still call it podcast, I should really stop that. If I doubt the entire idea of what is a podcast, then why do I keep calling it a podcast? I'm frustrating myself. Anyway, forget the worries, put a smile on your face, and I'll see you in the next Genius But Slow episode. Bye-bye!